UFC 307 just happened this weekend. We're going to go over it. I'm your host, Manny, and we're going to get right into it. Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree, UFC 307 in Salt Lake, Utah. Amazing fight. Amazing fight for a few different reasons. So Alex Pereira, you know, he's the dude that knocks everybody out with the left hook. Brutal fighter. Now, there's guys like, we've seen knockout artists throughout history. We've seen many knockout artists throughout history. We've seen guys like Anthony Johnson, rest in peace. We've seen guys like Vitor Belfort. We've seen guys like Derek Lewis. Now, these guys have something similar in common. Anthony Johnson, he would have vicious, brutal knockout power. But when the fight started getting sticky, like when he fought Daniel Cormier, he didn't have what John Jones had when he fought Alexander Gustafsson. And I guess you could say that was heart. I'm not saying that Anthony Johnson doesn't have heart or didn't have heart. He had heart. But understand, there's something where there's a lot of guys who have knockout power and they're used to just hitting guys and them falling down. And when the fight starts getting sticky and things start going left, they don't have the same level of, without that knockout power, they aren't the same fighter. And now we found with Alex Pereira, the reason he's so good is not because of his knockout power. If you took today, if I waved a wand, boom, Alex Pereira has no more knockout power. He would still be a champion. He would still be a great fighter. As we've seen in this fight, someone like Derek Lewis, for example, great fighter, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have, when he doesn't knock somebody out and the fight starts getting sticky, starts going left, like when he fought Daniel Cormier, without his knockout power, he's not the same caliber fighter that he currently is. You understand? So Alex Pereira showed today, he showed that without the knockout power, without all his physical attributes, he's still a champion. He's still that guy. He went into this fight on antibiotics. He went into this fight in high elevation. He went into this fight with a rib injury. He went into this fight with all types of stress. You guys remember the weirdo OnlyFans chick who was trying to put the false allegations on him. He's dealing with so many things going into this fight. Mind you, this is his third or fourth fight of the year, and he's fighting a beast in Khalil Roundtree. The fight started out, Khalil won the first round. Khalil dropped Alex at one point. First time we ever seen him get dropped other than when he got knocked out by Izzy. Alex took a big body shot early in the fight. I believe it was round 2. Took a big body shot. And you could see it kind of affected him. He kind of went back for a second. First time I ever seen him going back a little bit. And, he had a rib injury. So maybe that was part of it. But what was so amazing and incredible about this fight was even in the beginning of the fight, from the walkout to everything, Alex Pereira is zoned in on Khalil Roundtree. He's zoned in. He's staring at him. He's not blinking his eye. I'm talking like a good 10 minutes. This man did not blink his eyes, take his eyes off of Khalil Roundtree. You know what I'm saying? And now when we look at that, think about the level of focus this man has. He has a murderous focus on his target, on his opponent. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. And as the fight continues on, as the fight gets sticky and things are going left, as the fight continues on, he's just pressing forward, hunting down his prey. He's like the Terminator in there. Nothing else matters. In the fourth round, when he's going for the finish and he's hunting him down, it's like, man, this guy does not care if you injure him. He doesn't care about anything. He just cares about destroying you, and if he doesn't get the knockout on you quick, it doesn't matter because he's systematically breaking you down and putting on massive damage to the point at the end of the fight, you're going to be so banged up that it's going to be so hard for you. In the second round, you can start to see the damage accumulating on Khalil Roundtree. In the third round, the damage kept accumulating. He's taking a lot of damage. It's not, so much damage where he's just taking headshots. No, he's beating up his body. He's beating up his legs. He's hitting him with jabs that split him open in his eye. He's just putting ridiculous amounts of damage on Khalil Roundtree. You know, the damage that we've never seen him take before. To where the point at the end of the fight, by the end of the fight, he looks like this. Oh, mind you, Khalil Roundtree came into the fight, it looked like with a cut on the bridge of his nose that they maybe tried to seal or fuse, but that ended up getting cut open. Alex Pereira did all his damage on Khalil's eye here with a jab. With a jab. You know what I'm saying? With the jab. And Khalil Roundtree is extremely tough. You know, Son Strickland was saying how Khalil's sensitive and blah, blah, blah. Man, Khalil's tough. Khalil's very tough. And his hands were extremely fast in the beginning. You know, he was giving Alex a run for his money. At one point, Alex threw a kick. Khalil caught it and went to sweep his leg. And for whatever reason, the leg sweep didn't work. But he was going skill for skill with Alex on the striking. You know, he head kicked Alex flush at the end of round 2. A nasty head kick that if Alex would have been, moving slightly a little bit more the other way, it could have been very bad, but he was going skill for skill striking with Alex until Alex just downloaded all his information, downloaded his patterns, and then it just took over. One thing I noticed that in this fight, Khalil Roundtree wasn't throwing very many kicks. He was like strictly boxing. Physically, Khalil Roundtree is actually physically stronger than Alex Pereira, but slightly. They did a grip squeeze measuring test, and Khalil Roundtree had a grip squeeze of 166 pounds, and Alex Pereira had a grip squeeze of like 158 pounds. So both of these, and that's super strong, by the way. Both of these guys are really strong, but Khalil was actually more physically strong than Alex, and you could see his hands were so powerful, but the skill and the will overtook, and more so the will took over. And it's something Muhammad Ali said before. He said, you can be a great fighter, you can fight someone better than you, but the will must outdo the skill. And if the will outdoes the skill, you can drown somebody. And that's what we see with Alex. Alex really wants it. He wants it bad, he wants it real bad. And he wants to just destroy you. He wants to take your soul in there. He wants to crush you. He doesn't care about nothing else, and that's what you see when he's staring down his opponent in the beginning of the fight. He's just looking into their soul, not even blinking. He doesn't care about nothing. He's just looking in their soul. He doesn't care about nothing. And that's an uncomfortable moment for many people, And now as the fight starts to continue on, that's in their mind. That's playing on in the back of their mind. Maybe you're having some success in the beginning, but then things start to break down. And you're remembering, and he's not stopping. He's coming forward. He's trying to destroy you. He's trying to dismantle you. It was an incredible performance on all fronts. The adversity that was overcame, the damage that was dealt, the techniques that were being thrown. His teep kick, Alex Pereira's teep kick was so ridiculously fast. I was amazed. I was like, damn, that's a fast-ass teep kick. That's a real fast teep kick. And a teep kick is one of my favorite moves, if not my favorite move. The way Alex Pereira threw it, he should throw it more because it's just such a beautiful move and it's so fast. And it did damage. He was going to the body with the teep, accumulating these shots. So many people are scared of the headshots that they leave their body open, they leave their legs open. Alex Pereira, you can't. You have to take him down. You have to take him down. And you have to beat his ass on the ground, period. You know what I'm saying? That's how you have to beat him. You have to have the threat of the takedown in play. When Jan Blachowicz fought Alex Pereira, Jan did the best versus Alex Pereira of everybody in that division. Now, Jan threatened the takedown. He actually took him down once. So he took him down once and was controlling him. He took him down, was controlling him. Nobody else has been able to do that successfully at middleweight and light heavyweight to Alex Pereira. Nobody other than Jan. So we know that if you want to beat him, you better have a good ground game and you better take him down because his striking is just too good. His striking and the amount of damage, and he doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? He's going into the fight injured. You can hit him. He's not a front runner. You understand? He's not a guy who needs to be whooping your ass the whole time. You know, when he fought Israel Adesanya in kickboxing, he's actually losing the fights. You know what I'm saying? He's actually losing the fights, and then he knocked Izzy out. So he's a guy that, you know, probably came up his whole training and his whole career, you know, in the beginning, maybe not having so much technique, you know, because when you see some of the moves that he does, technically speaking, some of the moves aren't correct, but it doesn't matter though, because it has the heart and he has the athletic ability. And more importantly than anything, he has the heart and the stamina. As the fight continued on, his stamina was going up and up and up. You have to give Alex Pereira one of the best. He's one of the best light heavyweights ever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is like you know, recency bias, but you know, nobody can touch John Jones's career at light heavyweight. Nobody. He's the GOAT at light heavyweight, and he's a GOAT fighter. But when I look at everybody who fought light heavyweight, you know, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, you know, Forrest Griffin, Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, you know, Shogun Rua, Lyoto Machida, you know, Randy Couture, these guys. Now, Alex Pereira is the best light heavyweight outside of John Jones by far, for sure. His career thus far has been better than even Khabib's career. When you look at, he's defended his title in a very short amount of time, the guys he's fought and how he's taken them out. You know, and that might be a little controversial, but when we look at them both, Alex Pereira is just a beast. He's 37 years old. He's not slowing down. He's an inspiration to me. You know what I'm saying? He's an inspiration to me because this man started in the UFC just a few years ago, you know, after his long kickboxing career. But it shows that if you want it and you have the desire and just the focus, the murderous focus, that's what I like to say, the murderous focus. You know, if you have that, you can become a champion. You can become great. You know, regardless of Alex Pereira's height and his skills and his power, it all comes down to him being a guy who is extremely laser focused and loves to fight. When he was in that fight, you could tell like he loves to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like he's enjoying this struggle and he's enjoying going back and forth and he's really in his element. You know, he's really shining in his element. And, you know, we have to give Khalil Roundtree props as well. Roundtree put on a hell of a performance. To take the amount of damage that he took in the fight and to keep going, it was incredible. It was truly incredible to see. Whenever Rocky fought Mr. T, he fought Clubber Lang, and Clubber Lang was trash talking Rocky before the fight. He said, "I'm gonna crucify him." That's what he said. He said, "I'm gonna crucify him." And when I was watching that fight, the first thing I thought was that Khalil Roundtree got crucified in that fight. He got absolutely crucified. The blood pouring down, the amount of damage he took, man, the amount of damage he took in that fight to his body, to his legs, he's going to be in pain, so much pain for a good 2 weeks after that. Probably more, bro. That was brutal beating. But he's tough, man. He's really tough because he didn't get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get knocked out. He ended up taking so much damage that he had to go down. And he's like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm good." You know, but skill for skill, Khalil Roundtree is a very dangerous fighter. And I think Khalil beats Jamal Hill. I think he beats Yuri Prohaska. I think he beats most guys outside of Ankalaev in that light heavyweight weight class. And I know that coming after this fight and going through that and fighting Alex Pereira, he's gonna have extreme amounts of confidence. You know, as we've seen with Sean Strickland after he fought Alex Pereira, he had extreme amounts of confidence. Like, yeah, okay, I can do this. You know, I'm good. I'm great. Actually, I went the distance. One of the best fighters we've ever seen in the sport. Because Alex Pereira, don't make no mistake, he's one of the best fighters we've ever seen in the sport, you know? And that just makes Izzy's accomplishment when Izzy knocked him out even more impressive. That the post-fight speech that Izzy did when he knocked Alex Pereira out it has to be the best post-fight speech of all time in the sport. And to understand the mountain that Izzy climbed and he knocked him out, that for me personally, that goes down as one of the best moments in MMA history. Israel Adesanya knocking out Alex Pereira. You know what I'm saying? Climbing the mountain, overcoming. Because make no mistake, I don't see Dricus, I don't see none of these guys beating Alex outside of John Jones. I don't see it. And that's what they're foreshadowing. They're foreshadowing John Jones versus Alex Pereira. Now, if John Jones beats Stipe Miocic, and especially if he beats him in brutal fashion, there's only 2 fights left for him in the game. And there's only 2 fights that and I believe that they should make him, because let's say John Jones fights Alex Pereira at heavyweight, right? Now, Alex Pereira would be the first man to attempt the 3 belts: heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight. And if he were to win, he goes down as the GOAT. He goes down as one of the GOATs, possibly the GOAT, because no one's ever won three belts. And also, if he were to beat John Jones, he would have to go down as the GOAT. Alex Pereira is probably one of the best gifts that ever happened to MMA. And so if John Jones beats Stipe and John Jones fights Alex Pereira and he beats Alex Pereira, and then they can make that Francis Ngannou fight happen, and he fights Francis. I don't believe he'll beat Francis, but that would be a career. That would be a wrap. That would be just an epic career that nobody could ever top, ever in 100 years. Nobody could top that, especially if he beat all those guys, and especially if he finished them. Woo! Nobody could top that. Man, this sport is so exciting. I love this sport. I love this game. I don't, people, Chael Sonnen was talking about, Alex Pereira fighting Tom Aspinall for the interim belt. No one wants to see that. We don't want to see that, man. We want to see John Jones, Alex Pereira. And you see Conor McGregor, he was tweeting it, and at the end of the fight, when they were posting like on the tweets of people, they posted Conor McGregor's tweet. It was the last tweet, and it was Jones versus Poton, and they kept it there longer than any tweet. If John Jones and Alex Pereira fought, it'd be one of the biggest fights in MMA history. And now, if John Jones and Francis fought, it would be the biggest fight in MMA history. These fights need to happen. They need to happen. And mind you, I want everybody to recognize all these fighters that we're talking about currently: John Jones, Alex Pereira, Francis Ngannou, they're all in their late 30s. And when you're talking about the heavier weight classes, you're not in your prime until you're in your late 30s. And as we've seen with Yoel Romero, it's different in this weight class. This is the most exciting weight class to me. I love light heavyweight and I love heavyweight. And light heavyweight has always been like the marquee division in MMA, because you had guys in the UFC. We had John Jones, right? We had Chuck Liddell. When we talk about the guys who were like the guys really, really, really pushing the sport: John Jones, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell. How many fights that those really impacted the sport? Shogun Rua, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Rampage Jackson. So many great fighters coming from the light heavyweight division, and some of the biggest, most selling fights, most exciting fights happen in that light heavyweight division. It's a very great division. And I see John Jones destroying Alex. I see John Jones destroying Stipe, and I know someone like John Jones, who's the best, he probably wants to fight Alex Pereira like real bad, because John Jones, the moment when Alex Pereira was struggling in the fight and he stayed laser focused and he started to win, and he reached his flow state and was just flowing on him, just hitting him with knees and punches and body shots and dodging punches. Man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. It gets me fired up, for real. You know, I know John Jones is probably sitting back like, yeah, he wants that. You know, probably like sweating like, yeah, that's what he wants. Like he wants battle. You know, there's nothing like being in a good fight. There's really nothing like it. There's no feeling in the world that's like being in a good fight. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I think everybody longs for. Every man, anyways, longs for. That's why you get so much hate in MMA because, you know, secretly, a lot of men are probably jealous that they can't do it or they don't have the balls to do it. And the feeling of being in a fight, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to go through the rest of the card as well. Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena didn't win that fight. Raquel Pennington was beating her ass. Let's not, you know, let's be real. Raquel Pennington was beating that ass. So it's not Juliana's fault that she got the belt. It's the judge's fault. But it's the judge's fault. Now, if Alex Pereira didn't finish Khalil Roundtree, there's a very good chance that he loses that fight because those judges were going crazy on Saturday. So that even makes that win even better because if Alex doesn't win the fight and it goes and Khalil survives the 5th round, there's a good chance with those judges they give the fight to Khalil, which would be insane. But you know, yeah, I guess you can't leave it in the hands of the judges. You know, Juliana Pena became the new champion. And Raquel got robbed. We all saw the fight. We know Raquel won. We knew Raquel whooped that ass. Raquel rocked her, dropped her, was all over her in the later rounds. So it's unfortunate for her. You know, Raquel and Juliana have been around for so long. I remember being in high school watching The Ultimate Fighter, and they were both on The Ultimate Fighter the same season, I believe. And now to see their careers blossom to where they're fighting for belts and co-headlining on major cards is a beautiful thing. And made such a beautiful sport. You know, Kevin Holland, he had his fight, and Kevin Holland, great fighter as well, but he injured his ribs during the fight at some point, you know. So overall, you know, obviously I wanted Kevin Holland to win, but you know, sometimes things go left in there, which makes it so much more impressive with guys like John Jones, Alex Pereira, because you know everyone who's fighting, they're all injured, you know, and sometimes things go left where your ribs pop out, you know, and I have to assume that John Jones, Alex Pereira, the champions, you know, these moments, these situations happen to them, but they just don't care. You know, their will pushes them forward and pushes them through to be able to win in those moments. So incredible fight card. The whole fight card could have been boring. To see that fight with Khalil and Alex would have made up for it. Just an incredible fight. 2024 has been an incredible year for fights. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do a video on the best fights of 2024 because we've had a hell of a lot of good fights. You know, I mean, just off the top of my head, the Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier fight in the beginning of the year, that Alex Pereira Khalil Roundtree fight that just happened. You know, there's just so many fights, man. There's so many fights that have been great this year. It's actually over. It's like an overload. It's like an overload. There's been so many good moments. You know, knockout of the year, you have to still give to Max Holloway, but thus far, Alex Pereira has many knockouts this year that have to go up there with some of the best knockouts of all time, especially the way he KO'd Yuri Prochazka. So for me going forward, I would like to see Alex Pereira go up to heavyweight and fight John Jones. That's the only fight to make. You know, yeah, he could sit back at light heavyweight and fight Ankalaev, but I mean, who really cares about that fight? I don't. I don't care about that fight. I want to see him fight John Jones. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to see. And if he doesn't fight John Jones, let's see him fight Tom Aspinall. You know, it's an exciting time in the sport. And I don't want to see Alex go down to 185. I think that's just a drastic weight cut, and it's just too much of a weight cut, and it just does a lot of damage to your body. I think he's better at heavyweight, and I love the kickboxing style. It's actually inspiring me to take some kickboxing fights. Like, I actually really want to take some kickboxing fights. just to get better and more comfortable striking in the cage, and hopefully become even half as good as Alex Pereira in the striking department. Also, that fight was at high elevation, and everyone looked like they performed great. No one was really like super gassing out. Khalil was gassed in the third and fourth round, though. The way he was throwing the kicks was so slow, but he also took extreme amounts of damage, up to that point. So overall, amazing card. Alex Pereira, Potan Chama, amazing fighter, champion, one of the GOATs, legendary fighter, and hell of a fight. Yeah, man, I can't wait. What we have next, we got John Jones versus Stipe. We have Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira. These fights are going to be super exciting. And I believe they actually no, Conor McGregor is not fighting this year, as far as I know, but who knows? But great fights, and can't wait to see what's next. Let me know what you guys think. Is Alex Pereira's career thus far better than Khabib's career? That's a very interesting debate, because a lot of people are like, oh, Khabib's the GOAT, blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of people are like, no, he's not the GOAT, right? So is Alex Pereira's career thus far better than Khabib's career? And who would you place higher on the GOAT list currently? Alex Pereira or Khabib? Some people are saying he's the best light heavyweight ever. Chill out, man. Chill out with all that. John Jones is the best light heavyweight ever, okay? I can't stand when people are like, they see someone win a few fights and they're like, oh, he's the best ever. Yeah, there's recency bias. Yeah, there's these moments. But don't forget, just 5 years ago, 10 years ago, John Jones was having the same moments in the cage. And we were like, oh, it's amazing. You know what I'm saying? But don't get me wrong, Alex is amazing, but he's not the GOAT at light heavyweights, John Jones. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want to support the channel, drop a like. It helps a lot. It helps immensely. The channel is free. Just drop a like. Help me out. I appreciate that so much. Much love, guys, and I'll see you guys soon.